While the two of them were by no means weak, but it would be difficult for them to deal with the magic beasts on their own. It was also because of this that they asked for help from Continent Z. As for why it was not other continents, because all the available returnees were only in Continent Z. Reward distribution? Samuel asked directly. He didn't mind going as long as they could get enough benefit. Anyway, he and Ria were already planning to go into the crack soon. Before the teleportation formation was opened and the location was told to them, it would be better to check the cracks first. Besides, they still have to deal with the cracks and made arrangement. No one knew how long they would be gone if they entered the passage to the other world. But right now, they didn't know where the passage is or when it would open. But since the message said that it would be after the 7th person reached rank 7, it should be soon. They might be able to receive the message of the passage's opening sometime soon. Half, Mr. Jones replied. Samuel arched his eyebrows. Continent W was really willing to pay for the exploration into the crack. Perhaps they dared to do this because they knew that there would be more rank 7 magic beasts inside the cracks. There were already a lot of rank 7 magic beasts facing them some time ago, and they were already somewhat overwhelmed. If there were more, they wouldn't be able to handle it. So the best solution that they could think of was to request help from other returnees who had reached rank 7. Other people would still need a long time to reach rank 7, so they could only turn their heads to the other returnee from other continent. No way. There were only 2 returnees in Continent W, and the 2 of them hadn't even reached rank 7 yet. When will Ruth and Jonas Nolan reach rank 7? Samuel asked another question first. If they were the main forces and these 2 people were waiting on the back, Samuel felt that it would not be fair in the slightest bit. The crack might belong to Continent W because it was in their territory, but it was not like they couldn't enter by force or sneaking in. After all, there were no rank 7 in Continent W. The skills that they could master upon reaching rank 7 was not something that lower-ranked magicians, magic warriors, and warriors could possibly handle at rank 6. So if they really wanted to keep the distribution fair, one of them had to reach rank 7. Their estimation is next week, Mr. Jones replied, and then glanced at the laptop on the side. There was a video call ongoing with the representative from Continent W who wanted to ask for their help. He didn't understand why they were in such a hurry, though. After all, it was not like Samuel and Ria were going anywhere, right? Oh! Samuel noticed his father's gaze and looked at the screen. I don't think it'll be enough, sir. Either increase our percentage or give us offer that we couldn't refuse. Jonas Nolan will be responsible to create several potions that can replenish your mana, recover injuries, and also increase your strength, the man said indifferently. He knew that the person in front of him is the black-hearted Samuel, so he was prepared to negotiate. But of course, they would never let Samuel push them too far. They had a bottom line on how much they could accept giving to Samuel and Ria. I think we need to discuss the amount appropriately. Samuel heard this and knew that Continent W was basically trading resources for the 2 of them to step forward and basically be the bodyguard of the people from Continent W. Being a bodyguard is a very tiring job, and Samuel didn't like it that much. Ria listened from the side and simply sat down to wait. She believed in Samuel because she knew that he would not accept any losses. So, the 2 of them started their negotiation mode. Mr. Jones handed the front to his son, and instead turned to look at the other generals on the scene. He moved away slightly to give space for Samuel, and then talked with these people. What do you think? I think it's a good idea to get more resources, but it'll depend on Samuel and Ria's decision. The general replied without hesitation. They do need more resources. Even though they knew that Samuel and Ria will definitely take resources for themselves, but the 2 of them had already reached rank 7. For lower-ranked materials that they found, they could simply hand it over to the bases or traded it with them for what they needed. After all, what they needed was no longer the same as them. Still, they knew that it wouldn't do them any good to force Samuel and Ria to listen to their opinion. Because at the end of the day, the one who had to come forward and face those rank 7 magic beasts would be Samuel and Ria. So they would let these 2 people be the one to decide what they wanted to do. What do we need specifically? Mr. Jones asked, wondering about this matter. What we need more is to lead more people out to kill the magic beasts. Otherwise, we'll only rely on the formation all the time. The general's expression was solemn when he mentioned this matter. Not long ago, they fought against the magic beast's tide, and the general could see that many people's fighting skills were not on par with their ranks. They needed more practice. This can be arranged. Mr. Jones nodded. After that, they started to discuss about this matter in a low voice. Ria, who was sitting on the side, I have become a total bystander in the entire discussion. To be honest, Ria felt a bit helpless about her current position. After all, she was not proficient in negotiation, and it seemed that all she could do was to listen and wait for Samuel to finish. Should she meditate? But Ria felt that she would be labeled impolite and ignorant if she were to do it so openly and blatantly in front of other people. Besides, meditating required her to focus and couldn't be disturbed by others. What if they called her when she was meditating? Ria contemplated. It seemed that she really couldn't do anything but to listen. Thankfully, Samuel finished the negotiator and made the arrangement with the other party from Continent W. There was a list of resources agreement that they agreed with, and Samuel showed it to Ria. Is there anything that you want to add? Samuel asked. The representative from Continent W. He had the feeling that if Ria were to say that there was something she wanted to add, Samuel would not hesitate and started another round of negotiation with him. Why is he here to discuss business but ended up being fed with dog food? The representative from Continent W fell into doubts. Ria didn't pay attention to the representative from Continent W and instead looked at the list that Samuel gave to her. It was basically stating that the herbs resources would be given to Jonas Nolan, but minerals and related resources had to be given to Samuel. The magic beasts' corpses would belong to whoever found them, and then if there were any formation inside, the formation plate had to be given to Ria. And there were also other detailed distribution below. Ria looked at it and felt that Samuel was truly worthy of his reputation as a black-hearted businessman. Almost everything that they could possibly need were listed here, and even if not all resources could be given to them, they had the favorable term. She looked at the list before asking, how about the special resources? It'll fall on the same category as the ordinary resources. The distribution will be based on their type, Samuel replied without hesitation. Neither he or Ria could use the plants, and if Jonas Nolan could create some kind of useful potion, then he didn't mind handing the resources over to the other party. There were not many resources that could be swallowed or absorbed directly like those formation cores that they found before. Even if there was some, Samuel and Ria could just use the one in their respective crack. It was unlikely that they would be given differential treatment. There was no evidence for this, but their instinct was telling them so, and they believed in it. Do I need to prepare additional magic scroll for the people in Continent W? Ria asked another question. After all, they might face rank 7 magic beasts, and if the number was large, Ria and Samuel would not have time to care about the people who followed behind them. We'll buy them separately, the representative from Continent W quickly said, when he heard their conversation. What a joke. If he dared to let Samuel negotiate the amount based on their current cooperation, he was sure that he would be slaughtered once again. Samuel will definitely dare to do it. He was absolutely sure of it. All right, Uncle has the list for the price of every magic scrolls, Ria said with a shrug. There were no other questions from her. The representative from Continent W was silent. He glanced at Mr. Jones, who had returned from communicating with the soldiers and other people on the side, and felt that he was tricked, because Mr. Jones said that everything would have to wait for Samuel and Ria to arrive. Knowing Samuel's black-bellied's nature, he already felt his heart hurt. Now, he seemed to understand that even Mr. Jones was not any better. Mr. Jones, it seems that you have never said that there's a price list, the representative from Continent W said with dissatisfied tone. That's the internal price for the people in City A base, Mr. Jones replied unhurriedly. I'll give you the list later. After revision, that is. Even though the last part of the sentence was not said, everyone present somehow understood what Mr. Jones was actually planning to do. Ria. She felt that her future father-in-law was surprisingly very cunning, just like Samuel. Though she felt more amusement than anything else. After all, she knew that they were fighting for their own benefits and was not willing to accept any subpar treatment or any less advantage. Though Ria was sure that they knew proportion. When to advance and to retreat in business was sometimes quite subtle and not everyone could catch it. I hope you wouldn't take too much time for that, Mr. Jones. The representative from Continent W snorted. Mr. Jones kept a polite smile on the surface, not answering the other party's question in the slightest bit. No matter what, he would not tell them what he was actually planning to do. As for how much those things increased in price, he will naturally not cause trouble. And part of the additional benefits would also be given to Ria. After all, she was the one who worked so hard. I'll be waiting. The representative from Continent W then closed the connection. After all, he still has other things to do on his side. They have a lot of things that they needed to prepare after searching an agreement with Continent Z. Next is the one from Continent Y, Mr. Jones said, and felt some headache when he thought about them. I don't think Continent Y will need us to help them explore the crack. Samuel looked at Mr. Jones blankly. There are 2 people who have reached rank 7 and presumably the last one wouldn't take that long either. The last one is a magician, though, so Samuel was not entirely sure how fast she would be. After all, the mana concentration on the green planet definitely couldn't possibly be compared to that world. It was still far from comparable. Yes, there are 2 returnees who have reached rank 7, but they said that none of them are willing to cooperate with them. The higher-ups are more in favor of ignoring them, but there are a small part who hopes that you can come to them and exchange resources, Mr. Jones replied. Samuel could see that the call was not connected like the one from Continent W before, so the negotiation was most likely almost a big failure. But even then, it wouldn't be that easy to complete disregard Continent Y. I only know that there are 2 people who have advanced to rank 7. Can you tell me their situation? Ria asked curiously. When one advanced to rank 7, there would be mana fluctuation in the air. Ria and Samuel might be busy fighting with those magic beasts, but they were not blind. They could sense the mana fluctuation that basically affect the air from a distance away. Later on, it was basically confirmed one by one that there were many returnees who have advanced to rank 7. About Continent Y, the representative had a black face, not knowing how he should explain about the situation of the 3 returnees. Continent Y some time ago, after the Magic Beast's outbreak, Continent Y could be said to be the only place that didn't solve it completely. The other continents managed to curb these magic beasts to stop them from killing and destroying the land to an extent. Even if it was not perfect, there was no danger of them dying at any moment like the people in Continent Y. There were also enough soldiers who will step forward to handle the matter of the crack and send people to guard them. There were many people who were working hard and many of them managed to survive for a long time, so they were not that weak. Besides, there were still training that Nalan and Navi gave to their government during the time they cooperated with each other. Coupled with the large amount of resources they managed to get, there were still some people who managed to reach rank 5 as warrior. These people could still fight against these magic beasts for a period of time. But then again, their number was limited and it was impossible to protect the entire large area of Continent Y. Thankfully, they still have enough weapons that they developed in conjunction with mana, which partially suppressed these magic beasts. Later on, they found out something interesting. These magic beasts would only be active around the areas where the returnees were present. So as long as the 3 returnees were not close to them, they didn't have to worry about these rank 7 magic beasts coming over. After all, the force power of these rank 7 magic beasts were not something that they could withstand. They were not strong enough. So let these returnees be the one to face these rank 7 magic beasts instead of them. Anyway, their relationship with the returnees could be said to have almost broken down completely. They also found out the location where Ami was located. No way. A large number of rank 7 magic beasts were surrounding that place and Ami couldn't move even if she wanted to. It was only because she was in the soul state that these rank 7 magic beasts couldn't hurt her. But she couldn't walk around either, because if they passed by their bodies, Ami would still feel restriction. After all, her soul state was somewhat special because she could still touch solid matters, which naturally also included living beings. These rank 7 magic beasts were all eager to tear her apart. So when Ami got close to them, They would rush forward at the fastest speed possible and try to tear her apart. Now, Ami was basically hiding. Her face was dark. I have already advanced to rank 7, and now these rank 7 magic beasts are stopping me? Ami looked at the rock that blocked these rank 7 magic beasts and knew that it wouldn't last that long. The main reason why she was still here was because her physical body was stored in this cave. When she faked her death before, she acted a full set. She fought hard with the magic beasts, and when they couldn't see her, she slipped among the magic beasts to find this relatively secure place. After adding some defensive magic to the things here, Ami now felt much better. At the very least, these rank 7 magic beasts wouldn't be able to get close so easily. And since she had advanced to rank 7, it should easy, right? But who would expect that these rank 7 magic beasts would crowd around the entrance and kept on attacking? If it was not because she used her magic to strengthen the rock that blocked the cave, these rank 7 magic beasts would have long swarmed in. Ami's face was really bad. Damn it! It was only now that Ami felt how annoying it is to have to do everything by herself. There were so many magic beasts in front of her, and Ami knew very well that she was not strong enough to deal with so many rank 7 magic beasts on her own. She needed help. So her gaze moved towards her phone in her pocket. It hasn't been charged for around a year's time since Ami has been in the soul state for a long time. Her body was basically frozen in time with special magic that she learned. Soul Magician was indeed the most special magician in that world. To be able to become Soul Magician, there was a great price to pay. But compared to being unable to learn magic and had to be an ordinary person for her entire life, Ami felt that being a Soul Magician was really good. Beep, beep. Using mana to charge her phone, Ami called the government and asked for help. It was just, Miss Ami, you choose to abandon the country even when things are not very difficult and refuse to help us. Why should we help you at this time? The officials were pissed off when they found out that Ami was still alive. This Soul Magician was once said to be the kindest returnees among all the returnees who came back. Because many other returnees were usually very demanding and asked for a lot of things from their respective government or association behind them. What Ami needed was special. She only needed these people to kill magic beasts in front of her so that she could absorb their soul. It was actually more appropriate to say that she was absorbing their mana upon their death. But Ami didn't explain too clearly. So in a way, she looked like she was easier to satisfy among the other returnees. In the beginning, she did make many people like her. Such an easy-to-please returnee was something that they couldn't imagine to dream at all before. Just looking at Nalan and Navi had already told them how annoying these returnees could be. Each and every single one of them have their own demands, and this made the officials from all continents very busy. Continent Z could be said the one who suffered the most. There were a total 5 returnees in their territory alone. Each and every single one of these returnees definitely will ask for something in return for the knowledge and resource they handed over. Even though they might pay attention to the severity of their actions, but they would never refuse the resources given to them. If anything, they would try to ask for more whenever it was possible. So the officials were used to these returnees asking for things. They both loved and hated these returnees for these reasons. After all, they could get some things that they could never obtain normally through these returnees. Yet at the time, they had to pay a huge price to obtain it. What do you want? Ami sneered. For people in Continent Y, profit is above everything else. She had lived in this continent for a long time and knew how selfish those people were. The officials were drinking and eating to their fill while the people below were living in a life full of hardship. They were unable to do anything due to the huge disparity in social status and power. Even if they wanted to protest, no one would listen to them. She didn't have any sense of belonging to Continent Y. For her entire life, she was working hard like a dog at the bottom. So she felt no remorse when she saw them suffer under the attack of these magic beasts. Yes, she could still see what happened outside after becoming a soul body. No one could see her, and she couldn't really roam too far away from her body, nor could she stay outside for that long. But she still watched as these people suffered the attack of various magic beasts. Those people who used to be lofty and arrogant were screaming in fear. When the entire base fall, who would have time to protect them? Everyone had to run away for themselves, and no one would care about other people who were not important to them. There were even a lot of so-called family members who staged betrayal on the spot. Throwing away their wife, husband, children, or even parents were something that Ami had seen a lot. This is human selfishness at its peak. She watched everything happening indifferently. When faced with their own survival, they would definitely prioritize their own lives and didn't care about others. Now that the officials were asking this, they wanted something. "Work for us." The man on the other side of the phone said indifferently. "You're kidding me." Ami sneered. How could she be willing to sell herself to the nation? Even from the very beginning, it was nothing more than cooperation with each other. In the first place, she also never sold herself to the nation and instead cooperated with them to a certain extent. That was why Ami could easily fake her death. If she worked for the official fully, she was absolutely sure that they would definitely watch her closely and never allow her to stay far away from them. As a magician, her physical body has always been her weakness, which was why Ami didn't want to appear in front of others if it was possible. Now that she had reached rank 7, she could finally refine her soul. But with so many rank 7 magic beasts out there, Ami wouldn't have the time to do anything. "You have a track record, Miss Ami, and you're the one who asks us for help." The man's voice was very calm. They knew that if they didn't set up any restriction whatsoever, these returnees would keep on trampling on their dignity and did everything on their own. Not long ago, Nalan and Navi's action of abandoning the base had already crossed the line in their heart. They didn't want to repeat such a thing, even if these returnees were indeed powerful, but they didn't want to be the slaves of these people, using it when they need it and then abandoning after they no longer need it. Do these people think that they have no backbone at all? In any case, the officials had come to an agreement together that they would never agree to whatever Ami requested them to do. Even if it was Nalan and Navi who called, they would not agree to their conditions either. Good, very good. Ami gnashed her teeth and hung up the phone. Seeing so many rank 7 magic beasts were still outside, Ami actually felt headache. But she didn't want to be slaves either, so she only have one option. Fight to their death. Thud, thud, thud. Countless rank 7 magic beasts suddenly fell down. Their breathing was gone, and then their bodies were trampled upon by other rank 7 magic beasts behind them. These rank 7 magic beasts only went on instinct and didn't have any thinking whatsoever. But they were still much stronger and knew how to use tactics. Could that be considered above instincts? They were not entirely sure. But these rank 7 magic beasts had their strength and ability appropriately reduced. Otherwise, newly advanced rank 7 magician or warriors would never be able to deal with them. There were naturally some exceptions. But even a genius would find it hard to face a lot of rank 7 magic beasts when they had only advanced to rank 7. Inside the cave, Ami's eyes flickered with blue light, and the mana from these dead rank 7 magic beasts was sucked into her soul body. She felt warm and comfortable all over, but it was barely enough to support her magic spell's consumption. Rank 7 magic spell required a lot of mana, and as a newly advanced rank 7 soul magician, Ami's mana was still very limited. "I can do this," Ami muttered to herself. Her eyes flashed with ruthlessness. Her intention of faking death in the beginning was nothing more than to take advantage of other people. After all, her attack skills were not very high before reaching rank 7 because of her own limitation. After reaching rank 7, while her ability had improved, it was not to the extent where she could deal with so many rank 7 magic beasts. But now she had no choice. Every time these rank 7 magic beasts, she would cast the same spell, attacking straight to their soul. Countless rank 7 magic beasts fell down immediately and then trampled to death by the other rank 7 magic beasts behind them. Again and again. It took hours for Ami to finish everything, and by then, she was soaked in sweat and slumped on the ground. Seeing that her soul body was fading away, Ami knew that her time was up. "I have to do soul fusion in advance. It's really annoying." Whoever arranged for these rank 7 magic beasts to target these returnees seemed to be thinking of making their lives difficult and miserable. Just thinking about how many rank 7 magic beasts he had to face not long ago, Ami wanted to vomit blood. Forget it. When she come out and become invincible, she would be able to look down on the whole world. She couldn't wait for that. Not far from the place where Ami was located, Nalan and Navi were not in good condition either. After Nalan managed to advance to rank 7, these rank 7 magic beasts suddenly become crazy and rushed over in their direction. The newly advanced guardian warrior Nalan had to step forward and used his large shield to block these rank 7 magic beasts' advance. Damn it! Can't these stupid magic beasts target other people instead? Navi cursed in a low voice when she saw these magic beasts rushing over. Her mana was running low from killing so many rank 7 magic beasts. After all, Nalan might be a rank 7 guardian warrior, but his attack power was relatively lower. Even she could kill rank 7 magic beasts faster than Nalan. The requirement was naturally if she consumed a lot of mana to deal with these rank 7 magic beasts. Use Elemental Explosion, Nalan said. Are you sure? Navi frowned. Elemental Explosion was the highest magic spell that she could use at rank 6, and the power was comparable to ordinary rank 7 magic spells. While it was true that even rank 7 magic beasts would be killed through this magic spell, but it consumed so much mana and Navi didn't dare to use it easily. She had already used it once some time ago. At that time, they managed to kill a lot of rank 7 magic beasts and Nalan finished his promotion. The two of them ran away for a period of time. And then these rank 7 magic beasts came to chase after them, even more frantic and crazy than before, making the two people felt like they were going crazy. Before they knew it, they were already surrounded by these rank 7 magic beasts once more. Yes, Nalan's eyes were firm. Then you hold them back first. Navi took out the magic cores that she had collected before and then casted magic spell to let the mana out. Even though this method of mana replenishment was a bit crude and might cause damage, as long as they didn't the mana long in their body, it would be fine. Moreover, 5-element explosion was a special magic spell that basically combined the elements of the world. The elements were combined together, and through the chain reaction of these elements, an explosion would occur and destroy the entire world. The power alone was comparable to that of a nuclear weapon and also much more effective when dealing with these rank 7 magic beasts. Got it, Nalan replied calmly. The two of them had supported each other for a long time, so he knew what Navi wanted to do. Holding his shield at the front, he looked at the countless rank 7 magic beasts in front of him coldly. They were annoying. Why does whoever sent them to that world even arranged for these rank 7 magic beasts to come? Is he or she want to destroy the whole world instead? Nalan didn't understand. But it didn't matter. He just needed to kill the enemies standing in front of him through his cooperation with Navi. The world is round, earth supplemented with water, blooming with vitality and kept the world intact. The sun shined and burned the ground, providing the energy for the metals to change its form and return to earth. Navi chanted. Her voice was light and calm. She looked at the rank 7 magic beasts outside Nalan's shield with piercing coldness. Roar. Boom. Elemental explosion. Navi smiled. Boom. Large explosion occurred, nearly destroying the entire city. Both Nalan and Navi were fine as they were protected within Nalan's shield and Navi didn't really target themselves. The good thing about the 5-element explosion was the fact that there would be a safe place in the middle where the caster was located. Whoever created this magic spell was truly a genius. It was a destructive magic spell that destroyed everyone but those around her, which was perfect to kill a lot of enemies when they were trapped. Through the history book, Navi knew that the elemental explosion was a magic spell created during an emergency. It was created by a genius magician of the tower where Navi was learning magic in that world. At that time, the world was facing great magic beasts tide and countless people died. The defense line was breached and countless people died. The genius magician had to watch as his friends and comrades stood in front of him, protecting him with their entire life. Because he's their pillar. He had to live. Unfortunately, these magic beasts kept chasing after him and destroyed the city that they should have protected. At that time, the genius magician thought that if he was going to die, he wanted to kill as many magic beasts as possible. Even if the entire world is to be destroyed as the result, why not? So the first elemental explosion magic spell was born. At that time, the magic spell was still out of control and put a lot of load on his body, putting him in injured state. It was reserve people from the tower who found him injured with countless magic beasts' corpses all over the place. This incident became a legend. But perhaps for that genius magician, he would rather not learn a powerful magic spell if it had to cost him almost everyone he knew in his entire life. Later on, he became the vice head of the tower for a period of time before disappearing into seclusion, and no one knew where he is anymore. And Elemental Explosion has become a very special magic spell in the tower. Only people who have certain qualification was allowed to learn this magic spell. Navi worked hard for a long time in order to get the qualification to learn this magic spell that would allow her to kill countless people or magic beasts in an instant. And the safe place in the middle was something that was added later on. Otherwise, they would also kill themselves with this magic spell. Swish! Seeing countless rank 7 magic beasts and weaker magic beasts fell down. Nalan nodded in satisfaction. Beautiful! Navi smiled and stretched her hand. This is the most useful magic spell that I have learned, but the burden to the body is not small. She used 2-5 elemental explosion in just a short period of time. It was estimated that she wouldn't be able to use it anytime soon unless she wanted to be seriously injured or even caused permanent scar. Once she was too heavily injured, it might even damage her foundation and affect her chance of going to the peak in the future. So Navi didn't plan to use it. At least, let her take a long break or only used it again after she advanced to rank 7. Otherwise, it was simply not worth it. Nalan frowned. Can you still hold on? Without Navi, his attack power was almost non-existent. While he could still deal with these rank 7 magic beasts, but it would definitely take much longer than before. Even now, he was already exhausted from holding off so many rank 7 magic beasts. If he had to fight for a much longer time, Nalan didn't know whether it would be possible for him to hold on. I should be fine, Navi said without hesitation. She didn't want Nalan to abandon her no matter what. The two of them were similar as in they would never waste their time on unimportant people, nor would they be willing to spend their time waiting for others to keep up or catch up with them. If others couldn't keep up, then they would be abandoned. It was as simple as that. Good. Let's go. Yes. They didn't plan to contact the officials, so they had to leave on their own to travel around this continent. With so many rank 7 magic beasts chasing after them, it wouldn't be that easy either. As they walked out, Navi would collect these rank 7 magic beasts' magic cores for her use. Nalan didn't really need it, so he just get a few rank 7 magic beasts' corpses for them to eat. It might not be the most delicious food in the world, but they could make do with it as it contained more mana, which would be beneficial for him. Many of these rank 7 magic beasts were destroyed beyond recognition, but those that was located further away still looked relatively intact. Those that were relatively intact were what Nalan chose for their food. It's really miserable to be chased by these rank 7 magic beasts no matter where we go, Navi complained in a low voice. Nalan arched his eyebrows. Do you want to go there? The other world. Navi frowned. There will be too many danger over there, and will it be possible for us to find other resources? I don't know. The message only said that it would grant them the teleportation formation to a completely different world, but there was no message to them about what kind of world it would be. Nalan himself was not entirely sure. Let's wait later. Navi didn't really want to face rank 8 or above magic beasts. Before she could reach rank 7, her fighting power was still limited. Good. The two of them stopped on their track and looked at the somewhat illusory figure walking not far from them. Ami, Nalan and Navi. From such a big continent, why? How big is the chance for the 3 returnees to meet each other? They all went their separate ways with no one bothering each other. But after a while, they just found out that the other party was actually still standing in front of them. It was truly strange. Why are you here? Ami frowned when she looked at these two people. After being forced to fight against a lot of rank 7 magic beasts not long ago and then completed the fusion with her physical body, she was already in bad mood. Now that she had physical body again, Ami will have to find some food to replenish her energy. So she was busy picking the rank 7 magic beasts' corpses that she killed last. Some of their species couldn't be eaten, but some others were edible and those were her targets. I should be the one asking this question to you. Navi sneered upon seeing Ami again. You're not going to say that you accidentally bump into us, are you? Otherwise, the two women didn't like each other. Ami was envious of Navi's talent, which could use 5 elements so freely and unrestrainedly. Even in that world, she was so famous and many people adored Navi because of her ability. She was a very famous genius. On the other hand, a soul magician has never been a popular profession, and even if there were some powerful soul magician, not many people would look up on her. Perhaps the main reason was because soul magician's magic spell was usually invisible to the naked eyes. They could only sense it through their perception, and it was also not the most accurate ones either. Usually, only after they reached rank 7 would it be possible for them to sense a soul magician's attack. Below rank 7, their soul power was simply far from enough for them to be able to sense it. So for most people below rank 7, receiving soul attack meant direct death. Some magic beasts were even capable of launching soul attack too. Are you going to fight to death here? Nalan interrupted when he saw these two people were about to attack. Both of them were very strong and Nalan didn't want them to fight here. From his perception, there were many rank 7 magic beasts in the distance. Moreover, he was absolutely sure that the government was still watching over them. Presumably through the satellite or something like that. And if these two people were to truly fight, it would never end up until one of them was injured and might even result in their deaths. Because these two people wouldn't be able to hold back in the slightest bit when facing the other party. Tisk. Navi frowned. She might have Nalan to protect her, but even then, there were a lot of danger out here. The two of them were planning on going on their own, so they have to be prepared to face a lot of dangers. It's impossible. Navi didn't want to stay with them, and she knew that it would be impossible for her to accept trusting those people. They were not worth it. You can try, Ami said coldly. Her bad mood after facing those rank 7 magic beasts were still very strong. Besides, she could sense that Navi was only rank 6 and hadn't advanced to rank 7 yet. So her magic spells were still limited. The two groups of people glared at each other. In the end, they turned sideways and went to different direction, not wanting to bother with the other party in the slightest bit. Both of them were returnees. There were various methods that they could use when they were forced to a dead end, and since both Nalan and Ami had reached rank 7, they knew that the real danger will come in a bit more than a year's time. At that time, there would be more magic beasts coming over to Planet Green. What if the entire world ended up destroyed? They had to prepare their way out. Those who survived until the great magic beasts tide had already seen how these magic beasts could destroy an entire area on their own. Unless they wanted to do nothing when this matter was repeated, then they would have to prepare everything with all their might. It wouldn't be easy. They didn't fight. The officials were naturally watching over these returnees' situation. Putting aside the few destroyed bases, the other bases were well protected. There were no rank 7 magic beasts coming over to chase after them. All of the rank 7 magic beasts were chasing after the returnees. So when facing with the weaker magic beasts, they could still hold on with the powerful weapons in their hands. Now that they saw these returnees meeting each other and then parted ways, they understood that they have missed something. Continent Z City A base. They exchanged for the news that you received upon reaching rank 7 with some resources, Mr. Jones explained when he saw Samuel frowning after listening to the representative from Continent Y's words. Continent Y is too far away. Samuel shook his head. Even if he wanted to help them, Samuel felt that it would be impossible for him to go there and then fought with the magic beasts. Besides, he was absolutely sure that what the representative from Continent Y truly wanted is actually Rhea. Because they wanted to seal the crack. The rank 7 magic beasts might only chase after the returnees, but there were many other magic beasts that will still roam around Continent Y. Having more magic beasts meant that they could get more resources from killing them. But what if they didn't have the ability to kill these magic beasts? Then what awaited them would be nothing more than their own death. Mr. Samuel, what we want is not you but the Runemaster. Samuel's eyes flickered and he looked at the representative from Continent Y coldly. I can represent the Runemaster and it's impossible to travel so far away. How about the teleportation formation? The representative from Continent Y didn't want to give up. Through scattered intelligence gathered over time, they managed to get a lot of valuable information. One of them was the fact that the Runemaster was capable of making teleportation formation. This was actually not a secret. The other returnees from Continent Y had already said that a really powerful Runemaster would be able to create teleportation formation. Through this teleportation formation, they can technically appear from various positions all over the world. Even crossing to the other side of the planet was not impossible. Rhea frowned slightly and calculated the distance. The green planet was really big, and even traveling within Continent Z alone took a long time. Even if she could use teleportation formation, the mana used to travel such a long distance was not a joke. She could use magic cores to replace the need for mana, though. But will there be enough time? She still wanted to enter the crack, and then they would pay a visit to Jonas Nolan from Continent W. Once it was done, the passage might have been prepared for those who wanted to enter in advance. Rhea didn't know the exact time when the teleportation formation would be prepared, but she had a feeling that it wouldn't take that long. Because of that, she didn't really want to take so much job from others. Yes, they could save more people like this. But is it her business? Rhea pursed her lips slightly as she rubbed her hand. While she knew that it was possible for her to save more people if she went to Continent Y, she didn't want to put her own life in danger. She was not such a compassionate person who could abandon everything else just for the sake of saving people. And she had the feeling that the representative from Continent Y had other plans by making them go to Continent Y. No. Samuel's face darkened slightly upon hearing Rhea's question. While the matter of time was indeed important, he could guess what the representative from Continent Y actually wanted to do. Isn't it the same as Ruth before? Detaining the returnees who come to their continent so that they couldn't go back. If it was not because of the pressure from Continent W, even Continent Z wanted to make sure Ruth stayed. Unfortunately, it was not possible. They have already sent her back some time ago so that she could help to defend Continent W from the magic beasts. One crack has been sealed by Rhea. As for the other one, the military had already sent people to kill the magic beasts that poured out of the crack. They were still able to handle it one way or another, ensuring that nothing bad would happen to the bases. Because of the special profession of their returnees, most of the military still have to step forward for them. Don't be so stingy, Mr. Samuel. The representative from Continent Y sneered. Think of the bigger picture. If Continent Y were to fall, then we'll seal all the land route towards Continent Y, Samuel said without hesitation. The entire world was connected through land route, and even though it was said that there were 4 continents, it was more like 4 government. How these government of continents were formed, it has an extremely long history, and Samuel had no interest to repeat those things. It was not important either way. The most important thing is that the relationship between Continent Z and Continent Y were not that good. Moreover, they couldn't trust the other party completely. What if they wanted to use this chance to keep the returnee in their land and prevent them from going back? Even the teleportation formation had its limitation. Otherwise, Rhea would not have died in that world. He himself was not completely invincible, and if he was heavily injured, it was still possible for him to die. So Samuel didn't want Rhea to take risks. It was not worth it. You're such a heartless person. Tell that to your own returnee. Since they decided that they can't even trust their own government, why do you put the blame on me? Samuel shook his head. We can't do this business, and you don't have anything worthy of exchange with us. Including the special magic core? Special magic core. So far, special magic cores could only be found through the formation in the crack. Back then, there were a lot of incidents that happened around this matter that caused a lot of people's death. Rhea's eyes narrowed. She had speculated based on the shape of the formation that the other half of the formations were in other continents. One of them should be in Continent W while the other one should be in between Continent X and Y. Most of them were located in Continent Z, and there were indeed more returnees in their areas. So it wouldn't be surprising to find it. While these special magic cores were indeed useful, neither Samuel or Rhea needed it anymore. The few that Rhea found when she and Samuel paid a visit to the crack were all given to their friends. I don't need it. Samuel spread his hand. And if you can get special magic core, what makes you think that we can't get it? The representative from Continent Y looked at Samuel coldly. Meditation method for Soul Magician. Soul Magician, Guardian Warrior, and Elemental Magician. What makes you think that Continent Z didn't have enough meditation technique already? Samuel retorted with disdainful expression. Most meditation technique had long been spread out in that world. Moreover, thanks to the other returnees exchanging various meditation technique that they had heard but never practiced, people in Continent Z had more than 10 options. While the specific paths for these 3 professions might be somewhat interesting, Samuel didn't plan to change his job. And he didn't know whether there will be other people who were interested in these 3 professions in Continent Z. But even if there were some people who were interested, he had no plan to exchange his and Ria's safety for the sake of buying some meditation information. It's impossible. Soul Magician's meditation technique will greatly increase your soul power. I don't think that it's something that you can possibly reject. The representative from Continent Y was confident. He had heard from Naylan before that Soul Magician was a relatively special profession, and that not many people pay attention to one's soul strength before reaching rank 7. Moreover, ordinary people didn't really have the qualification to increase their soul strength before reaching the specified rank. I don't need it. If you think that it's very precious, you can ask Ami for more details, Samuel said indifferently. The meditation technique used by the Soul Magician was indeed a bit special because it could increase their soul power to a certain degree. But the main function of the meditation was still to increase their own mana. It was just that they used a special kind of mana in order to advance their ranks faster. The mana that could only be obtained from the dead. Upon a magician or magic warrior's death, the mana in their body would disperse outside. It was hard to detect, and not many people would bother paying attention to this kind of thing. But this was something that does exist. For Soul Magician, they targeted this special mana. But because most people couldn't sense the difference in the mana, they ended up calling as soul power or something like that. Otherwise, it would be impossible to call their profession as Soul Magician. As for strengthening one's soul, to be honest, all returnees have their own meditation technique that could increase their soul strength. This was because they had already advanced to rank 7 and naturally received appropriate meditation technique that could also strengthen their soul. While the effect was not as obvious as the meditation from the Soul Magician, it was still very good, and they didn't really need to practice other things given by other returnees. Moreover, many practice required them to have foundation in specific areas. If they rashly changed to some exercise without knowing the future development, it would be too foolish. No returnee would make such a stupid mistake. Each and every single one of them were definitely careful enough and would not put their own life in danger because of such an unreliable thing. What? The representative from Continent Y was stunned. How could it be? When he first asked the returnees on his side, they all told him that the soul power was something important for magicians. Only warriors didn't pay that much attention because it was not their main focus. But it didn't mean that they could neglect it completely. If they faced a master who could use soul attack when they were stronger, it was estimated that they would die instantly without any ability to protect themselves. It was also because of this that warrior would also have their own special training. Samuel is a magic warrior, so he naturally understood the importance of the soul power very well. How could he say that he didn't need it? You need to ask the returnees very clearly about this, Samuel said calmly, refusing to give out more information to the other party. What a joke. He had worked hard for a long time. How could he be willing to hand out everything that he had in his hand to others so easily? As for the information is also a kind of resources, and Samuel would not stupidly tell the representative from Continent Y more information than necessary. He still understood that sometimes a war is won simply because they have more information compared to the other party. So he would not tell them the truth. The truth that all returnees have their own method to increase their own soul power, so the requirement that he wanted to use was useless. Ami should know this, but she purposely didn't tell the officials from Continent Y. Reason? Samuel didn't know, but he didn't want to meddle. If you're trying to use information to buy things from us, it wouldn't be that easy. Ria was listening on the side and had a look of pity for the representative from Continent Y. She knew very well that many information about that world and various exercises and so on were not that rare for Samuel. With his family background and status, how could he not know many things? Even though some specific matters such as runes and formation things were still unknown to Samuel, but other general things like the meditation technique and common knowledge was definitely mastered by Samuel. Rhea was also taught a few things that she had misconception due to her unable to receive formal education from the very basic in that world. The soul power is important. But she and Samuel had already reached rank 7. If what the representative from continent Y wanted to sell is the meditation technique that could increase one's soul power rapidly before reaching rank 7, then they might still want to take a look. Because these things were the treasure of some ancient or big family in that world. Rhea never had the qualification to take a look at it, and Samuel's family also had it, but the level was not very good. This was because Samuel had already seen it and tried it out. It was just that the technique was not suitable for him. So he never forced himself to practice and simply planned to wait until he reached rank 7 before switching the meditation technique in order to train his soul strength further. So the two of them never worry about this matter. What are you talking about? Explain. Toot. Toot. Samuel directly clicked to hung up the call. He looked at his father calmly and said, I and Rhea will apply to leave the base for a while. The negotiation with the Continent W was already done, so he didn't really have anything else to do. As for Continent Y, forget it. They couldn't even control their own returnee and was still thinking about taking advantage of other continents' returnees. How shameless. Even though Continent X also couldn't control their returnee and had to abandon one island, they were not shameless enough to run over and demanded Continent Z to help them. Perhaps it was because they still have a new returnee who appeared. Samuel was not entirely sure about their current condition, though. After all, not all information will be exchanged with each other, and they didn't have the time and means to observe in details. Now? Mr. Jones was stunned. Yes, if I stay here any longer, I think you'll just drag me to work. Samuel's face was dark when he thought about this. He and Rhea didn't spend that much time in Cydia base, but he felt that every single time would be filled with someone looking for them for some reasons. Either it would be the soldiers, his friend, or even his father. Just like today. Samuel felt that he seemed to be working for the continent and there was no break at all. He had already reached rank 7. Can't they be given more time to rest? That's a good idea, Rhea murmured. Clearly, Rhea also saw that when they were in Cydia base, they would be dragged to do various things one after another. She didn't have the interest to play with these officials or even the military. Before returning from that world, she was just an ordinary person. Someone who couldn't be more ordinary than others and didn't really have anything particularly remarkable. She was only living her life ordinarily, struggled to live and enjoy her ordinary life. But then she was transported to a completely different world. In that world, she had to struggle and fight for a few years, pushing herself to the limit in order to make sure that she would not die. So what if she has some talent? Any talent who hadn't grown up yet is useless. She had to work hard in order to get stronger and finally becoming one of the geniuses who stayed away from the limelight. Thankfully, there was no need for her to meet with those annoying people and she could stay hidden for as long as she wanted to. Now after coming to this world, Rhea also still didn't have any intention of cooperating with the continent unless necessary. When it was time for her to deal with the magic beasts, Rhea was still willing to raise her hand and help to fight. But she would not do it all the time. People also had to learn to protect themselves. The message stated that they were all selected amongst billions of people. They were selected to retain humans' hope. Or anything like that. Perhaps whoever sent them to that world had long known that none of them were people who were willing to sacrifice themselves for the sake of others. They were selfish and cruel enough, which was why they could survive for so many years in that dangerous and cruel world. If he, she, or it had chosen a righteous soldier instead, the journey might be even more bumpier than them because of the righteous heart. None of the returnees came from the soldier's background. It was odd indeed, but it was the reality. They were either from a big business family or came from a relatively ordinary or even an orphan who didn't have any parents. They have different way of thinking from the soldiers. When the continent truly needed them, they would still stand forward and help. The main reason is because they didn't want these magic beasts to destroy their home planet and turning the entire world into a desolate world. But if they were asked to be at the frontier at all times, they couldn't do it. Many magicians and warriors were selfish people who pursued their own strength's improvement from the beginning until the very end. It was naturally no different from Rhea and Samuel, who were also selfish people. They didn't have the time and energy to care for the entire world. I didn't mean it. Mr. Jones coughed. It's just that there are some things that need your help to solve. Father, just ignore the request of others if it will make City a base in difficult situation. I know. And these 2 continents. There are millions of people's lives on the stake at the very least, Mr. Jones said slowly and looked at his son. Even if not all of them can be saved, I want to know if there's a way to help them that didn't cost much. It was also because of this that he chose to call Samuel and Rhea over to talk with Continent W's representative. As for the representative from Continent Y, it was just a bonus. Mr. Jones never expected for the representative from Continent Y to be able to convince Samuel with his righteous and annoying attitude. You win, old man. Samuel sighed helplessly. He felt that it was useless to argue with his father about this matter. Even when facing with those people who made trouble back then, Samuel was also the one who played the bad role. Samuel could see that his father really couldn't bear to see so many people died. City base was indeed a bit too safe. There were no magic beasts that attack, so the people here could think about other things. At this moment, Samuel felt he and Rhea should leave, or these people will never be able to grow. Rhea's eyes flickered. She glanced over at the general, who was listening with the same stone face as before. It didn't seem like he was planning on disagreeing with Samuel's words. Yet he also didn't seem to agree. He was more like a bystander. Perhaps it was because he was not qualified to speak out his true thoughts to the other party. So he chose to stay silent. Don't be so impolite, you brat. Mr. Jones rolled his eyes at his son's greetings. He felt that his son was really not cute and rather annoying most of the time. And father, you know about the message from who knows who that every returnee received after reaching rank 7. I and Rhea are both planning to go, so you have to be prepared, Samuel added after some contemplation. Even though Rhea and Samuel would not depart right away, they still need to inform other people about their decision. Who knew when they would return after they departed to the other world? After all, that message didn't really explain that much, and there was also a possibility that they wouldn't be able to come back anytime soon. While Rhea could still set up a teleportation formation, crossing dimensions would be extremely difficult. Even before, Rhea would set up a formation beside the crack's entrance in order to be able to get out faster. Because if she used the teleportation formation to come across different dimension, the mana consumption would increase exponentially. Moreover, there was a chance for the space to be disrupted. After reaching rank 7, Rhea has become more sensitive to space fluctuation and naturally noticed some things that she hadn't noticed before. Crossing dimension would be much more difficult and wasted so much resources. If one was not careful, there was even a chance for their teleportation formation to be intercepted in advance. Yes, it's possible to do this. As long as one was more proficient in space magic than the Runemaster's understanding of the space, they could intercept them. The process was difficult, but Rhea knew that some people in that world had proven the feasibility of this method. After all, Runemaster like her who relied on the teleportation formation to make trouble was not that rare. There were some of them, and those who had already reached higher ranks were harder to deal with. So in order to cope up with them, there were several methods that could be used. One of them was the space suppression magic tools that was used to lock Rhea before her death in that world. Another method would be to intercept their teleportation formation. Intercepting the teleportation formation meant that they could either control the direction where they went, coming along with them, or even directly terminated the transfer, which would kill the Runemaster themselves. While Rhea has been using the teleportation formation commonly in this world, she didn't dare to be that arrogant when she was in that world. There was restriction for the teleportation formation to be used. Of course, there were also free areas such as the wilderness. No one wanted to spend so much time to investigate those who were using the teleportation formation outside. They were not so idle, and the world outside the cities were too vast. With so many magic beasts roaming around, It was common to have space fluctuation from time to time. They also couldn't possibly prohibit people from using space-based magic spell or teleportation formation. After all, these two things could really save lives if used right. There were also other methods, but Ria didn't plan to go through them all one by one. She was now looking at Mr. Jones' direction. Will he agree with her and Samuel's decision? Mr. Jones was stunned, and then he looked at his son with a complicated look. Do you really have to go? Going to the other world will be different from going to the crack. Even though Ria and Samuel spent most of their time inside the crack, they could still be contacted every few days or weeks depending on how far they were. And Mr. Jones was relieved with his son's strength. There was nothing much that he could do either way. After all, Mr. Jones didn't want to stop Samuel from reaching his goal. And going into the crack will help him to advance faster. So Mr. Jones let Samuel do whatever he wanted. Seeing his son had already reached rank 7, Mr. Jones was really proud in his heart. He felt that his son was really remarkable. Though, the fact that his son almost couldn't go home for a long time still made him a bit distressed. But at least it was not that bad. But now that Samuel was about to explore an unknown world, Mr. Jones felt complicated. There are not many people who are qualified to go, and I don't want to only face the weakened rank 7 magic beasts, Samuel said without hesitation. The rank 7 magic beasts that they had faced so far were all weakened to a certain degree. Samuel didn't face much accomplishment when killing these weakened rank 7 magic beasts, because they were too weak. If he truly wanted to get stronger and advance to higher ranks, he had to face stronger enemies and possibly challenge himself. It will be dangerous, but he was willing to take this bet. Ria stood up. Uncle, not all returnees will be willing to go. But someone has to go in, even if it's only because of our selfishness. Mr. Jones looked at Samuel and then at Ria. The two people were surprisingly very stubborn and similar in this regards, which made him feel a bit complicated. No wonder that they could get together. They were really similar to each other, and it wasn't an exaggeration to say that they were also very daring. How could other returnees dared to decide going to a completely different world like them? Mr. Jones sighed. He felt unwilling, but he also didn't want to stop his children from pursuing their dream. Do what you want. Tell me when you're about to depart to the other world so that I can be more or less prepared, Mr. Jones said in an unhurried tone. Samuel noticed his father's fingers were clenched to a fist. Even though Mr. Jones tried his best to act nonchalant and calm, it was absolutely impossible for him to completely cover up his emotions. Right now, he was not that calm, because he knew very well that Samuel and Ria would be the one betting their lives in a completely different world without knowing when or whether they would return. Yes, father. Samuel smiled and then nodded at the other people in the room before reaching out to hold Ria's hand and walked out of the meeting room. The rest of the things related to Continent W could be handled directly by these people. There was no need for him to be involved directly, and it will be good to let them handle things without him in advance. After all, Samuel was planning to stay in that world for an entire year, fully maximizing the time given to them before the passage was opened completely. As long as he could advance to rank 8, everything would be good. He would still have the ability to fight against rank 9 magic beasts when he advanced to rank 8. While it would not guarantee any victory whatsoever, but what he needed was a chance to be able to fight with those magic beasts. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to defend the green planet in the slightest bit. This is his hometown. He didn't want to back down without fighting. Mr. Jones, are you going to let things be? The general asked with a hint of worry. He knew very well that Samuel and Ria were considered strategic resources by the continent. Even though the two people might not be willing to accept being protected or serve the continent with all their hearts, they couldn't afford losing any of them. When they first received the piece of news about the teleportation formation heading to a completely different world, they understood very well that it would be difficult for them to stop the returnees from going. Not all returnees would be willing to stay on the green planet. Some of the ambitious ones will definitely want to go, while those who were slightly more conservative would choose to stay on the green planet and develop here. So far, Continent Z seemed to have advantage compared to other continents. But it was mainly because their returnees were more peaceful and willing to help them deal with the magic beasts. In truth, these people were also very hard to deal with. Just Samuel alone was more than enough to give some old guy's heart attack. And then there were also Murin, Peter, and Dina, who were equally difficult to deal with and would not back down so easily if they wanted something. And without Samuel and Ria, can Continent Z control these people? He was somewhat worried about it. The children have grown up and have their own ideas, Mr. Jones replied in a light tone. While I'm older, but in this matter, I don't think I'm more capable nor more experienced than him. He should have his own judgment and reason to go into the crack before and now planning to leave through the teleportation formation. Mr. Jones will not stop Samuel and Ria. The two of them would not leave directly, but he knew that the time will come sooner or later. He had to be mentally prepared for what was about to come. But for now, it would be better for him not to think too much. What about the green planet? The general asked in a low voice. Mr. Jones paused for a moment and then smiled bitterly. If those two people are stronger, wouldn't it be better for the green planet in overall? Because it meant that they would be safer. But for Mr. Jones personally, he didn't want either Samuel or Ria to be in danger. When they chose to leave the green planet and explored the unknown land, who knows how many danger they would face. He couldn't control it, nor could he help them. It was somewhat annoying, but as an old businessman, Mr. Jones calmed down quickly and focused on his work. What he could do right now was to focus on his work and made sure that he didn't make any mistake whatsoever. Because only if City A base remained peaceful and calm could it be possible for Samuel and Ria to focus their attention on getting stronger. The two of them should not be restrained by the green planet. Let him be the one to stay here, and those two people would stand on the front line to fight against those magic beasts. I see. The general lowered his head and stopped talking. The one who felt the most difficult should be Mr. Jones. Because he knew that his son and daughter-in-law had to fight on the front line, yet he couldn't do anything but to support them silently from the back. Samuel and Ria left City A base quickly. Is it really fine for us to leave the base so quickly? Ria asked in confusion. As for packing up, there was truly no need. She always brought everything she had with her. After all, she didn't really have that many things with her. My father can handle it, Samuel replied lazily. There's no need to worry about that old man's work. We have a week's time to play in the crack before going to the north. Which one do you want to go now? Why should we walk all the way? Ria shook her head in amusement and then pulled Samuel towards the teleportation formation that was built in City A base. This was the building that they have prepared before for Ria to use. Samuel let Ria pull him away without doing anything. He didn't have any intention to stop Ria's action. I have set up teleportation formation when I set the formation around the crack back then, Ria said with a chuckle. There's no need for us to walk there or use other transportation. A teleportation formation will be faster and more efficient. Besides, if they only have a week's time, it's better to hurry and not waste time. All right. Samuel nodded, but there was a hint of regret in his eyes. He wanted to use this chance to spend more time with Ria on the road. Unfortunately, Ria didn't want to, so he could only push the thoughts down. Anyway, there was indeed a much more important thing to do for them right now. Do you think it'll be a good idea to leave more food for the people on Continent Z? Ria suddenly asked. With the help of her formation in the past year, the farming and so on has indeed improved. But there were still many places that lacked food. Ria herself had already handed over the ordinary food that she collected before and had no plans to eat. Anyway, it would only clutter in her space and there was much more other resources left. She didn't think that she wanted those things anyway. Do you want to donate food for the second time? Samuel asked back. Yes, food that contained mana, Ria replied without hesitation. Now that a long time has passed, Ria didn't think that it would be possible for her to keep secret on the soul treasure that she brought back from that world. Every returnee would carry a world treasure that was brought back along with their soul to this world. Samuel's soul treasure is a sword. Murin's soul treasure is his flute of beast. Ruth's soul treasure is her bows. And so on. Those whose soul treasure is a weapon that they used were easier to notice, and those who didn't bring it out were more or less still kept a secret. but considering their profession and ability, the other returnees could guess more or less. In front of Samuel, Rhea didn't really think that she could hide her world forever. Food that contained mana? Samuel sounded surprised. Did you secretly grow some of them? Food that contained mana could only come from food that was grown in the past year. Because before this period of time, the mana on the green planet was simply too thin for these plants to absorb. Even if they contained bits and pieces of mana, it would dissipate on its own before long. Only after the mana concentration increased would it be possible for the food to contain mana and not have it dissipate. And the food that contained mana from Rhea would definitely not be the type that would dissipate in an instant. It would be a joke. Yes, Rhea replied. Are there any space storage scrolls that can grow food? Samuel muttered to himself but didn't ask Rhea. He had the faint feeling that this might be related to some secret that she didn't want others to find out. Everyone had their own secret. It was impossible to ask for other people's secret even if they were in a relationship with each other. Well, if you want to, you can leave it to my father. I'm sure that he will not let you suffer any loss for handing over the food, Samuel replied after a moment. The green planet was getting better. But after that magic beasts tied some time ago, he was sure that there were many places that were destroyed once again. Food might be in short supply in some areas, and Samuel felt that if they knew Rhea had a lot of food, some people might come forward and made trouble with her. Those people definitely couldn't beat her. But if it was handed over to his father, Samuel was sure that he would be able to manage it and gave something in return for Rhea. Okay. Rhea smiled. It seemed that Samuel would not ask anything even if he felt that there was something strong. Being trusted so wholeheartedly feel really good. In that case, she had to live up to this trust. We're here. The building has increased its defense after Rhea and Samuel used it to leave for City J base back then. Even though Rhea was basically the only person who could modify the teleportation formation, but they also had to control the people who wanted to use the teleportation formation. Everyone who wanted to use it would have to pay a high price. Many people worked hard just so that they could use it because it had connected to some bases that Rhea had passed by, such as City B base, City J base, and so on. The formation in each city was located differently. Teleportation formation is really convenient, Samuel said while paying for their trip. Even he and Rhea would not be exempted from payment when they wanted to use it. After all, the magic cores used for teleportation formation would be supplied by the base, and they only needed to pay with contribution points. For both Samuel and Rhea, their contributions points were only sitting ducks there. They didn't have much use of it. It had long become nothing more than meaningless number. I have left the drawing to Ruben, but he wouldn't be able to draw it before reaching rank 5 as Runemaster, Rhea said helplessly. Right now, Ruben was only rank 3 Runemaster, but as magician, he had reached rank 4 or perhaps primary rank 5. She was not entirely sure because she didn't inspect Ruben deeply when she saw him. After all, it was not that important for her. Only his study in runes and formation was more important. Then he will have to work hard. Samuel chuckled. Teleportation formation can become a strategic resource in a year's time. Rhea nodded. 1 year should be enough as long as he worked hard enough. If Ruben were to hear that Samuel and Rhea were already planning for his future study, he would definitely want to cry. He was already so busy running left and right, but these two people still felt that it was far from enough and wanted him to work harder. Ruben really wanted to scold them. He also has other things to do, Samuel added euphemistically. Don't worry, Rhea chuckled. It's not like he have to work from morning to night. Drawing formation can also exhaust himself mentally, and it can't be recovered so easily through meditation like mana. Samuel nodded in understanding. The two of them stood in the middle of the teleportation formation. There was a person in charge there who can activate the teleportation formation to send them away. But this person only knew a few coordinates that Rhea had set up and didn't know the rest. After all, he was working for the base. Since Rhea wanted to go to a place that was not recorded, she would be the one to activate the teleportation formation herself. Swish! The two people disappeared and appeared in front of the large crack where the magic beasts appeared some time ago. At this moment, this entire place was very quiet, and Samuel looked around before locking onto the large hole not far from them. His expression was a bit strange. It's a bit odd to see a big crater on the ground like this, if I have to be honest. Back then, there were many magic beasts around and Samuel had no time to pay attention to the crack. He was also thinking of going back at the fastest speed possible at that time, making him not wanting to pay attention to the crack and so on. But now that they were here, he had only noticed that the crack looked a bit odd at this moment. Seeing such a big hole on the ground, people would probably wonder why there were no one to guard the areas around it and simply let it be like this. The military didn't take action either. Rhea pursed her lips. She had the feeling that the military trusted her a bit too much. This formation would only last for a month or so if it continued being attacked by the rank 7 magic beasts below. After all, there was a limit to how much power the formation could hold. They're going to the crack where Dina is located first. The rest will be deployed here and had been stationed nearby. Samuel pointed at the rows of military cars on the side. As for what they planned to do with the crack, it was not Samuel's business. He only wanted to come here because he wanted to enter and see the inside of the crack with his own eyes. Besides, Samuel and Rhea had the faint feeling that it would be better for them to enter the crack on their own first. Oh, Rhea nodded. Can they get closer to the crack? Samuel watched as Rhea walked forward towards the hole on the ground and felt that his vision seemed to be disturbed. He narrowed his eyes and guessed that there should be some illusion kind of defense on the formation. This would prevent unlucky people from falling into the crack unknowingly. No, Rhea sensed the formation in front of her and arched her eyebrows. It has been a few days since she was here and logically speaking, the energy in the formation should have decreased a lot. But when she sensed the formation, it seemed that it was barely touched by the magic beasts. Is it logical? Rhea narrowed her eyes and said, "Be careful and follow my steps closely." Got it. The two people disappeared into the crack and the military people in the distance naturally saw this. The captain could guess who they were, so he raised his hand and prevented his men from stepping forward. But Captain, we're ordered to guard the crack. They're more qualified to investigate the cracks than you all, the captain said lazily. Besides, if it was Samuel and Rhea, it would be impossible for them to stop these two people from entering the crack. They should have some mission, so they came here, or they came here on their own initiative for some reasons. No matter what it is, they couldn't interfere. In this way, the soldiers remained still. And on Samuel and Rhea's side, the two of them were dumbfounded when they saw the world inside the crack, because they felt as if they have entered a completely different world. It was very different from the previous crack where they could only see tunnels with magic beasts roaming around. Those areas looked like cave and there was an entrance above that connected with their world. To be honest, if they didn't sense the spatial fluctuation, they would think that they were still in the same world. But after knowing the truth of the world fusion and mana integration formation, they understood that this crack was actually a completely different world. It was also because of this that they would not be surprised if the entire crack changed. But, is that mountains? Rhea asked. Her tone was filled with disbelief. The moment the two of them passed by the layer of film, they were prepared to be attacked by magic beasts. There should have been a lot of magic beasts here. Since they didn't attack the formation that she set up, they might be setting up an ambush. But no. Rhea and Samuel could not sense any magic beasts around them. And what attracted their attention was the rows of mountains in the distance. No, they were also standing on top of a mountain right now. Glancing back, they could still see the thin layer that connected to their world, but their race has become completely different from before. They were in the middle of a rocky mountains. To be more precise, they were in the middle of a mountain range with several mountains encompassing the entire areas. Most of these mountains were filled with rocks, but there were also some trees scattered around. It was a vast world. And the strange is that they didn't sense any magic beasts around. The rank 7 magic beasts that should have poured out of the crack at that time seemed to have completely disappeared into nothingness. Not even a trace of any living beings could be seen in this world. This? Samuel raised his sword and then he frowned, because he could sense his sword getting excited and kept on buzzing. The messages conveyed by the sword entered his mind and his expression changed slightly. There are a lot of treasures suitable for me in this world, Rhea, Samuel said slowly. There should be some rank 7 magic beasts guarding those areas, and I might need to stay here for a while longer. His sword needed a lot of treasure to return to its peak. Most of them were metals-related ores or something like that. Unfortunately, the green planet couldn't provide those valuable treasures, and Samuel has been holding back this matter for a long period of time. Who would have thought that he might be able to find these things before it was the time for the passage to be connected in 1 year? Even if it might not be a complete set of treasures to repair his sword, it would be more than enough to increase his sword's rank even higher than before. The world fusion and mana integration formation might have set this up on purpose. Rhea frowned. How could it be such a coincidence? The treasures in this crack is very suitable for Samuel, and there were not even a shadow of those rank 7 magic beasts that made trouble for them. Mind you, both Rhea and Samuel were fighting desperately at that time, because they felt really tired and had to use various means in order to keep fighting again and again. But now, not even a shadow could be seen. You mean? I want to check the other crack, Rhea said. If this is just like what she had guessed, then she had to enter that crack and see what is inside. If it was also a suitable place for her to practice, then it meant the arrangement made should be done on purpose. The previous rank 7 magic beasts had already chased after the returnees to the point that they wanted to vomit blood. In Continent Y, the 3 returnees were almost dead just because of these rank 7 magic beasts chasing after them. And in their own side, there were so many magic beasts pouring out. Meet again in a week's time? Samuel asked with a smile. Rhea chuckled. We'll see each other in City A base. Got it. This place is suitable for Samuel to practice, and he didn't want to leave. At the same time, it would be impossible for him to go with Rhea all the time. He has his own chance and opportunity. She herself also has her own chance and opportunity. The two of them didn't have to travel together all the time. I'll be going now. Rhea nodded and then walked out of the crack again without hesitation. They only have a week's time at most. And if the crack that Jonas Nolan was about to enter was also suitable for him, it seemed that they might not be able to get much even if they were to accompany that man to enter the crack and do something. Samuel watched as Rhea left inside. Buzz. The sword buzzed and seemed as if it was about to fly away. Stop it. You can't go on your own. Samuel tightened his grip on his sword with annoyance and then followed the direction that the sword pointed out. He knew that his sword was very sensitive to any materials that was suitable to repair it. So he still chose to follow the direction that the sword pointed at. The mountain range was really vast, but for a rank 7 magic warrior like Samuel it was nothing much. Tep. After a few steps, Samuel stopped and looked at the surrounding areas. His eyes narrowed and he sneered. Mimicry. The leaf lizard. Samuel muttered and then he swung his sword. Shriek. Blood splashed along with screams that seemed to fill the entire areas. The sword buzzed with excitement and Samuel had to hold it back to prevent his sword from rushing forward and making more troubles. He looked at the large number of leaf lizard magic beasts around him. They were already rank 7 and none of them were easy to deal with. However, the strong power of these leaf lizards lies in their mimicry and concealment. As long as they could be found, their attack would be ineffective. It was just... Samuel looked at the forest in front of him with headache. They were still on the mountain range and the land was somewhat steep, but there were a lot of trees here and it looked like a small forest. Leaf lizards' original color is green and forest is the place where they could utilize their talent to the fullest. If he fought here, it might be a bitter battle. Because if he was caught by these leaf lizards, he would be poisoned and poison at rank 7 would not be so easy to deal with. He didn't have any medicine here and had to rely on his strong body to pass. As I thought, how could it be so easy? Samuel muttered to himself and his eyes flickered with determination. Are you ready? Buzz. The sword buzzed and seemed to be shaking with excitement. But Samuel had the feeling that it just wanted to take the treasure hidden within this forest. Splash! Splash! The large number of leaf lizards suddenly spat out and Samuel swiftly moved back and his mana quickly covered his body. This time, he used the combination of wind and lightning element. It's really troublesome to deal with poisonous magic beasts, Samuel muttered. You better protect me well, my sword. Buzz. The sword sounded dissatisfied, but as it felt the surge of mana from Samuel, it knew that the attack had already started. Lightning field. Boom! While Samuel was fighting for the sake of treasure against those rank 7 magic beasts, Rhea was making her way to the formation and activated it easily towards the other crack nearby. At that time, she had sealed a total of 3 cracks, 2 belonging to Continent Z. Rhea had never thought about doing anything else to them aside from entering and checking. After seeing the situation on the previous crack, she had some anticipation about this crack. Swish! The moment she appeared, she rushed into the formation. Being familiar with the formation, Rhea naturally also prepared enough backup lines and safe route to travel within the formation. In this way, she didn't have to dismantle the formation if she wanted to enter deep into the lines. Splash! The moment she entered, Rhea was almost splashed by water, so she moved to the side. Her eyes widened when she saw the scene in front of her. It was sea. There were also no magic beasts around and she couldn't see the limit of the sea in front of her. Rhea also has no plan to rush over since she didn't know where she will end up. If she couldn't return to this crack due to exploring the sea, I can set up a teleportation formation here. Rhea turned around and saw that the crack was basically behind her, opening up an entrance on a rock, or it was more like a cave. A small one that could appear at the bottom of a cliff beach. Her feet were wet and the cliff behind her was really tall. She looked around but couldn't find any route up. It seemed that this is a secluded beach, and the height above, it was really tall. She couldn't see the top so easily. It seems that whoever designed this never planned to make things easy for us. Rhea muttered and then started to move and drew the teleportation formation near the crack's entrance. In this way, she would be able to return here when she felt danger. Her fighting skills have always been very shameless. If she couldn't beat the other party, then she would run away. It's as simple as that. Even though some people might call her coward, but it's more important to save her life than to act tough. Anyway, Rhea treasured her life more than acting brave and so on. So she would not put her life on the risk so easily. After setting up the teleportation formation, Rhea used her mana to set up a protective rune circle around her, one that was already at rank 7 and could bring her to fly. She meditated to recover her mana and then took out a mana stone to drive up the protective rune circle. Swish! Screech! Rhea was barely flying for a few hundred meters when she heard the bird screech and sneered. She had long guessed that there would be more magic beasts that she encountered if she were to climb up. Seeing a few flying rank 7 magic beasts, Rhea raised her hand and started to draw in the air. Bang! Bang! Fierce confrontation happened in the air and more flying rank 7 magic beasts appeared around Rhea. The moment they saw her, they would start attacking without hesitation. Boom! 3 days passed quietly. During this period of time, Samuel was busy to deal with the magic beasts in his place while Rhea herself was busy on her own. It took her more than 1 day's time to climb up the broken cliff. But after arriving on the top, Rhea felt that it was worth it, because she saw the plants that was most suitable to make magic scrolls. She directly transplanted these plants into her world and also processed some of them. Unfortunately, many areas were guarded by various rank 7 magic beasts. So Rhea spent the next 2 days fighting fiercely with these magic beasts for the ownership of these plants and resources. It was obvious that the crack specifically prepared the resources that they needed the most. But it didn't plan to let them got it so easily. Rhea rested while leaning against the tree and panted. Fighting for 3 days straight was not that easy for her. These rank 7 magic beasts might have been weakened to a certain degree, but they were still a rank 7 magic beast and they have strong fighting power. As a Runemaster, Rhea was someone who prioritized balance in terms of her ability. Thus, her fighting power was actually not that strong. The only thing she could do was to add more and more runes. In this way, she could still fight against many powerful people. But right now, Rhea just wanted to say that the person who set this up is a dog. I'm really tired. Getting these resources is really not that easy, Rhea muttered inside. On her hand was a mana stone that she specifically took out to be used to replenish her mana. There were still some areas that she hadn't explored yet, and once it was all done, Ria also wanted to take a look at the sea for a while. Would 1 week's time be enough? Ria felt somewhat worried. Just as she wanted to rest for a while longer, scream could be heard from the sky above her. Screech. Ria's face darkened. You come again? Can't you give me a break? You ugly bird. Screech. Damn it. Tracking ice arrow. Ria could only stand up and started fighting once more. The rank 7 magic beasts in the crack no longer actively attacked the barrier on the crack. Ria didn't know the reason, but it was also a good thing because it meant that she didn't have to worry about the crack opening when she was traveling to a completely different world. Well, most of these rank 7 magic beasts were already dealt with by her, though. It took her 6 days to fully explore the areas and then stopped, because she had the feeling that the rest of the areas only consisted of weaker magic beasts and of no use for her in the slightest bit. Ria didn't have any plan to travel all over the place and waste her time in this crack, because she knew very well that the amount of resources inside this crack should be very limited. The most valuable thing that she obtained was these materials for her magic scrolls, magic formation, and so on. These materials didn't exist on the green planet and Ria could only obtain them in this place. Apart from it, the most valuable thing should be these rank 7 magic beasts. Because of fighting against these rank 7 magic beasts several times, Ria was also slowly but surely getting used to fighting as rank 7 Runemaster again. After all, she fell not long after she advanced to rank 7, and she had been busy working hard to regain her ranks again in the past few months. Could be said that her current progress was quite good. This seems to be a preparatory place before departure, Ria muttered to herself as she controlled the protective rune circle to descend the cliff once more. Who made the crack's entrance be there? And Ria didn't know which direction the other crack's entrance were. It seemed that this world has been expanded several times and it was now impossible for Ria to use the previous methods to roam around. Her teleportation formation that she made before had all been destroyed. At the very least, she couldn't detect any of them in the current world. Swish! Crossing the crack entrance once more, Ria decisively left this place. There might be rank 7 magic beasts or even lower-ranked magic beasts who were still roaming around in this place. But Ria had no plan to deal with them and planned to let them be. The formation that protected this area was still being attacked by these rank 7 magic beasts. But the intensity was much lower than her expectation. At this rate, it would take nearly 1 year for the formation to be invalidated and these rank 7 magic beasts would be able to come out freely. At that time, these rank 7 magic beasts could be used for them to practice before the arrival of the real magic beasts tide that might destroy the world. How they would appear, she didn't know. But if it was the same as the grand magic beasts tide that she had heard in that world, then the situation wouldn't be very good. Because Ria was sure that they would not be given the chance to live again if they died for the second time. Swish! Ria appeared in front of the crack where Samuel was located and decisively entered the crack. Upon entering, Ria didn't sense any presence of Samuel and guessed that he should have returned to City A base on his own. After all, there was no need for him to wait for her. If he had finished collecting all the resources earlier, then he could get back earlier too. Wait! I should have checked my phone. The phone couldn't connect when she was still in the crack, but after she came out, the signal would be restored and she would be able to detect the signal. In this way, if Samuel sent her a message, she would be able to know about it. Ria rubbed her forehead tiredly. It seemed that after staying in the crack for such a long time, she could even forget about various technological means. How stupid. After coming out, Ria took out her phone and noticed that there was a message from Samuel. The date was yesterday. Samuel, I'm going back to the base first. You can directly go back after you come out of the crack. Samuel, have you come out? Samuel, it seems that you're still inside. We're going to depart in 2 days, and if you can't arrive in time, please use the teleportation formation to directly come to the border. Did you leave a teleportation formation somewhere there? Ria saw that Samuel had sent her a few messages, all giving her instruction about what was about to happen, and also to remind her not to come to him. After all, the two of them might not come out at the same time. And Samuel seemed to remember to use the phone more often than her. Cough. Ria seemed to forget about the existence of her phone several times. This made her feel a bit guilty about it. Everyone else seemed to remember about using the phone, but she kept on forgetting and even threw her phone somewhere in her world without looking at it twice. Ria pushed the thoughts to the back of her mind and quickly replied, "Ria, got it. I'll go back to City A base." She put her phone away and then headed towards the teleportation formation once more. There were still soldiers guarding the area, but she didn't want to pay attention to them. It was not necessary. City A base. Samuel was basically competing with his own sword to get the resources in his side. His sword was extremely sensitive, and whenever it sensed the existence of the treasure that could help it to recover and advance, it would rush out. This resulted in the two of them nearly fighting against each other most of the time when they were in the crack. Thankfully, he still managed to collect all the available resources. After that, Samuel tried to explore other places, but after not finding anything valuable, he chose to stop. He left the crack and then checked his phone. Seeing that Ria hadn't sent any message, he guessed that she might still be in the crack and hadn't had the time to check her phone yet. As for why he didn't think that she had returned earlier, knowing Ria, she would definitely come to his place as soon as she came out instead of checking her phone. But there was still a slim possibility that she would check her phone, so Samuel tried it. Unfortunately, there was no message. Samuel sighed and then walked to the soldiers, borrowing a helicopter, and returned to City A base within a few hours. During the journey, he asked about the situation in City A base, and his father reported that everything was going well. There was no one making trouble, and even the people from Magic Association stayed relatively polite. "It seems that the Magic Association suffered some losses recently," Mr. Jones said to his son as he thought about what happened not long ago. "Who's so brave?" Samuel arched his eyebrows. Even though he didn't like the Magic Association, there were still many magicians from the Magic Association who were actually pretty good. And the Magic Association itself has people mixed from various backgrounds. Some magicians from the Magic Association were indeed annoying. The Turin family was a perfect example. But there were also many other magicians from the Magic Association who were pretty good and actually quite funny. After all, they were daring enough to perform those embarrassing chants in public. Well, there were already so many videos of these magicians from the Magic Association using those chants. People were having fun joking around with them. But even if they laughed at these magicians from the Magic Association, they actually respected them from the bottom of their heart. Because many of them couldn't do what these people did. Putting aside the fact that they were willing to sacrifice their images and use those embarrassing chants, there were many magicians from the Magic Association who stepped forward when the bases were being attacked. Even though these magicians from the Magic Association were not very strong, they were still willing to fight the magic beasts and try their best to protect the people behind them. For this reason alone, they were worthy of respect. Samuel also wouldn't make trouble to this kind of magicians from the Magic Association. But for those higher-ups who were very annoying, sorry, he couldn't show any mercy or he would feel disgusted with himself. "Murin," Mr. Jones replied calmly. "Murin?" Samuel was stunned. He knew that Murin had a fallout with the Magic Association because he refused to take action against those rank 7 magic beasts back then. It was not like Murin didn't fight in the slightest bit, but he only attacked a few magic beasts and then run away, because his goal was simply to get enough resources for his magic beasts. Since Murin has twice the number of magic beasts compared to ordinary beast masters, the cost to cultivate those magic beasts naturally skyrocketed. Beast masters were indeed not a profession for the poor. No, it was more like all side profession was not a profession for those who were poor. Because those who wanted to make advancement or something like that had to have enough money or resources in their hand in order to be able to advance. "He dares to fight against the Magic Association?" Samuel asked doubtfully. Even though Murin refused to fight against those rank 7 magic beasts, he would not suddenly think that he was invincible and wanted to fight against those magicians from the Magic Association, right? After all, he was not that stupid. Well, he was still pretty stupid in Samuel's opinion. "It's not like he fight against those magicians from the Magic Association head-on," Mr. Jones said, and then threw about the report that he received, feeling somewhat complicated. "He stole their resources secretly and then rushed into the crack." "Samuel, While it didn't seem to be as outrageous as fighting against those magicians from the Magic Association directly, this was still bad enough. What does Murin actually think about attacking those magicians from the Magic Association? And why did he enter the crack? Did he know that the crack will contain resources that's suitable for him? Thinking about this, Samuel narrowed his eyes. He and Ria knew about it because they explored the crack. Before that, they only had a vague feeling that they had to enter the crack without them knowing why. If they didn't enter the crack, they wouldn't know the answer. But Murin knew it. How? Samuel didn't know. And thinking about it, the action of those magicians from the Magic Association were also a bit suspicious. They were not afraid of those rank 7 magic beasts and chose to directly block one of the cracks. As for why they chose that one, it might be because they knew that this one crack belonged to Murin and he was easier to deal with compared to other returnees. Besides, Murin belonged to the magicians from the Magic Association on the surface. Father, can you try to investigate the Turin family? Samuel asked. If this was before the world changed, Samuel has the confidence that the Jones family would be able to check everything in a short period of time. But now he didn't want to trouble his father too much. Mr. Jones arched his eyebrows. The Turin family is not based in City Base, but I have connections, so I should be able to do it. However, I might need to take some time. It's fine. I'm not in a hurry. As long as he could get enough information, Samuel felt that it was good enough. Okay, Mr. Jones agreed right away. Samuel nodded and talked with his father for a few more words before he chose to call Peter. After the second earthquake, he hadn't seen Peter in the slightest bit. But thinking that Peter was associated with the Martial Arts Association, Samuel felt that it was obvious what Peter has been doing lately. Still, he chose to send a message to Peter, letting him enter the crack and practice inside. The rank 7 magic beasts inside the crack might be quite strong, but it was not above their limit. If Peter could use this time to practice, he should be able to get stronger. While his relationship with Peter in that world was not very good. In this world, the two of them could be considered as friends or perhaps comrade. Because they fought against the magic beasts together for a period of time, and Samuel also knew that Peter was someone who could be trusted. At least more than the few others. Peter should have advanced to rank 7 too. Will he go to that world later? Peter sighed. To be honest, the battle against those rank 7 magic beasts had made the Martial Arts Association understood Peter deeper. Unlike the magicians from the Magic Association who were so angry that they wanted to vomit blood when they thought about Murin's performance, the Martial Arts Association were actually quite tolerant of Peter. He might be quite annoying on a daily basis, but when it truly mattered, he's really reliable. At the very least, he managed to defend the crack well, and no rank 7 magic beasts remained alive before he passed out. Afterwards, the military from a few bases came over to help. The higher-ups in the Martial Arts Association had already negotiated with them, and they agreed to come forward and help them. In this way, Peter didn't have to put his life in danger and continued to fight against the magic beasts. After waking up, the first thing Peter did was naturally to eat a lot of magic beasts' meat to the point that he nearly vomited. If it was not because he wanted the mana contained within these rank 7 magic beasts' meat, he would not have chosen to eat them. After all, Peter didn't hold back at all when fighting. He advanced to rank 7 and the number of rank 7 magic beasts skyrocketed. In that situation, Peter found it difficult to control his own strength, so he didn't bother controlling his strength that much. Anyway, he was already on the verge of death. All he could do was to launch one attack after another to kill as many rank 7 magic beasts as possible to save his life. There were so many magic beasts that Peter didn't even know how they died. Only after he woke up and saw the rank 7 magic beasts with shattered bones and miserable condition that he realized he seemed to be out of control. Many of these magic beasts' corpses couldn't be eaten anymore. Well, forget it. There were so many rank 7 magic beasts that he would be able to find some magic beasts that were edible and their corpses were not in that bad condition. Governor Zachary was basically helping him out to clean up these magic beasts' corpses and sort them out. Those that could be eaten were specifically preserved. They used the space storage scrolls to keep these rank 7 magic beasts' corpses and planned to eat it after processing. Considering that Peter would need to replenish his energy, They specifically kept those rank 7 magic beasts and only ate the lower-ranked magic beasts for themselves. Anyway, they might even die if they tried to consume the meat of these rank 7 magic beasts. After all, the mana contained within their meat was far higher than their own ranks. The returnees had already explained that consuming mana that was far above their body's tolerance will also destroy them. Magician will not make such a mistake, and their main source of mana was their mediation. Only demonic magician would absorb the mana from other sources. So, the people who would strive to eat higher-ranked magic beasts' meat were usually magic warriors and warriors, because they had higher needs for this kind of food. Governor Zachary, you're such a good person. Peter was so satisfied after eating several rank 7 magic beasts' meat that was cooked before he woke up. Governor Zachary's lips twitched. He looked at the pile of bones on the side and then at Peter. He swore that the pile of bones was at least twice as high as Peter. It was truly a wonder where all the meat goes after Peter ate it. After you're full, are you going back to work? Governor Zachary asked. Work? Peter was stunned. He glanced at the crack on the side. After countless rank 7 magic beasts came out before, it has been relatively peaceful. There were not many magic beasts that came out, and this also made Peter feel strange. Previously, he was too focused on eating that he didn't realize that it was a bit too quiet. In the wilderness, Peter was more used with many magic beasts roaming around, and then he would smash a few of them. The people from the Martial Arts Association would proceed to help him cook and process them. At the same time, they would also take a small portion for themselves, which was part of the agreement with Peter. There are not many magic beasts coming out of the crack? Peter asked with some doubts. Apparently so. After you faint, there are almost no magic beasts coming out again, Governor Zachary replied. Peter arched his eyebrows. Then, I'll make a trip inside. No, but this wouldn't be the first time I enter the crack. I promised that I wouldn't go far away. Governor Zachary. No means no. You've just experienced that kind of battle. Go and fight other relatively lower-ranked magic beasts first. Tisk. In the end, Peter had to listen to Governor Zachary's words and worked for one day to adjust his condition. To be honest, what he needed to do was simply to adapt to his newfound strength. Other things were not something he needed to concern himself with. I have told you that I'm fine, Peter grumbled. After he entered the crack, Peter was stunned when he saw that he was on a rocky lands. There were some scattered rank 7 magic beasts in the distance. At the same time, he could sense the magnetic field of this rocky areas were clearly disturbed. Peter arched his eyebrows. This is gravity training room? Peter muttered under his breath. Warriors' development would usually vary, but one of their most favorite training place was naturally the gravity chamber. It was basically an area that has the gravity increased by at least a few times. The increased gravity would force them to learn to control their body and strength well. So this was basically the favorite for every magic warriors and warriors who have only made their breakthrough, especially if their breakthrough was done in battle. This kind of gravity training room would help them to adjust themselves with their newfound strength at the fastest speed possible. Well, not quite gravity training room, but the pressure here is very suitable for me to practice. Moreover, there are also some rank 7 magic beasts in the distance that I can try to kill for practice, Peter murmured to himself. He didn't care too much about a few rank 7 magic beasts. While they were of the same rank as him, he was confident that with his defense, these magic beasts wouldn't be able to do anything to him. This basically the best training place. It's a bit eerie. For the crack to suddenly give him such a good training space, Peter felt a faint chills in his heart. It seemed as if his every move was under the watch of someone or something that he couldn't sense in the slightest bit. Even after reaching rank 7, in which he could control his body almost perfectly, he still couldn't sense that someone was watching him. It was terrifying. But after a moment, Peter calmed down. If he couldn't even sense anything wrong after reaching rank 7, it meant that the other party should much higher in ranks compared to him. Moreover, being able to control these magic beasts within the crack. Peter didn't think that he would be able to do something like that even if he were to train for decades. It sounded really mysterious, and his advancement paths have always been the simplest among them all. He never had to think too much. As long as his physical strength increased, it would be an improvement for him. So while Peter felt that the place was a bit odd, he would not refuse such a chance that was given to him. In that case, let's fight. Bang, bang, bang. In the next period of time, Peter basically spent his time inside the crack. The other people didn't dare to come because after they entered and sensed the terrifying pressure, they all ran away without hesitation. Even Governor Zachary refused to accompany Peter. It's too dangerous. The suppression they felt once they entered the crack made them unwilling to enter no matter what. After all, they all knew that if they entered with Peter, they would only hold the other party back with their meager abilities. None of them wanted to hold Peter back, so they stayed outside. Anyway, Peter will bring out a few rank 7 magic beasts' corpses from time to time, which would be given to them to cook. He will eat a lot and then the surplus would be given to them. As for the weaker magic beasts, they could hunt it themselves. After living a life like this, Governor Zachary came to Peter with the latter's phone. Considering Peter's violent nature and the fact that this man often destroyed his own clothes because of his attacking methods, his phone was temporarily stored by Governor Zachary. Of course, he would not check the content without permission. Peter actually didn't care, though. He didn't have many friends and most of the people he knew were all from the Martial Arts Association. Those others whom he knew were only passerby in his life and Peter didn't remember most of them anymore. Peter, there's a message from Samuel. I don't know the content, but it might be something important. Governor Zachary handed the phone over. Samuel? Peter took the phone with a strange expression. He and Samuel rarely contacted each other. After all, they have their own business and would not interfere with each other's lives unless it was necessary. There were so many rank 7 magic beasts some time ago, and the two of them were busy in their respective areas to fight. Peter didn't ask much about the other situation because he could guess what they were doing more or less. Besides, he was too engrossed in training these days. Peter completely forgot about everything else. Peter saw the message from Samuel and arched his eyebrows before he laughed lightly. Samuel's message was actually about the crack and the fact that it would contain special place for their training. He had already entered the crack and naturally knew that Samuel was telling the truth. It was just that he didn't expect Samuel would tell such a matter to him. He's quite a righteous person, Peter muttered to himself, and then put the phone away after sending a message to reply to the other party. Is it something important, Peter? You could say so. Peter stood up and stretched his body. After training inside the crack for a few days, Peter had actually noticed that the effect of his training had slowly diminished. He knew that this was because his body was getting stronger and the environment here was limited.